This is the most dangerous high school in Korea. Here, students don't just study, they fight to decide their rankings. Violence is normal, and even academics take a backseat to brawls. But Gammon was different. He dreamed of getting into a top university, believing knowledge could change his life. No one pushed him. He signed up for tutoring classes on his own. Despite his hard work, he ranked third from the bottom. Instead of giving up, he hired a private tutor in middle school, but his ranking didn't change. He blamed himself and studied everywhere, on the bus, in the restroom, yet only moved up one spot, to second from the bottom. Frustrated, he started losing hope. Then, he overheard some students talking about getting into college through special admissions at technical high schools. It reignited his motivation. He enrolled, thinking he could finally focus on studying. But nothing changed. He was still stuck at second from the bottom. He assumed the tough students were secretly studying hard, so he tried one last idea, joining a study group. His mom's friend had told him about her son improving after joining one. But when he applied, every group rejected him for being too far behind. Some students even mocked him, saying he'd be better off being reborn than trying to study. That's when he made a decision. He would create his own study group. He looked for the smartest slacker he could find and spotted Se-hyun. Just as he invited him to join, another student, ranked 173rd, challenged Se-hyun to a fight. Se-hyun didn't want to fight, but bystander warned him that if he didn't, the school's disciplinary department would get involved. This department wasn't for keeping order. It was a gang that used violence freely. With no choice, Se-hyun fought back. But he wasn't strong enough. He lost. A new teacher, Miss Lee, arrived that day. Gammon immediately recognized her. She was his old tutor from middle school, the one who always believed he could overcome his bad grades. During roll call, the class was a mess. One student even farted, causing the class bully Hyun-woo to wake up angry. He threw coffee at the board and punished the boy. After class, Gammon caught up with Miss Lee. She asked about his studies, and he excitedly told her he was starting a study group. He already had someone in mind, Se-hyun. To get Se-hyun to join, Gammon followed him around, talking nonstop. Annoyed, Se-hyun finally agreed to tutor him. He explained things patiently, but Gammon just couldn't get it. His notes were detailed but useless. He had zero talent for studying. Se-hyun refused to join the study group, warning Gammon that Pi-hon, the school's most feared student, wouldn't allow it. Pi-hon wasn't the smartest, but ruled the school with his strength. He even created a ranking system that made students obsess over power. Gammon didn't care. He proudly showed his second-place report card and tried to convince Se-hyun to study for college with him. Frustrated, Se-hyun tore up the report and told him to stop. Later, in the restroom, Se-hyun thought Gammon was following him and angrily cursed, only to realize it was Hyun-woo. He quickly apologized, but Hyun-woo demanded 200,000 won as payment. When Se-hyun refused, he was brutally beaten. Just then, Gammon burst in wearing a mask, holding a fire extinguisher. In the chaos, he helped Se-hyun escape. But instead of being grateful, Se-hyun was furious. Running away would only make things worse. As he tried to leave, Hyun-woo found him again and beat him up. Even then, Se-hyun didn't expose Gammon. But the last moment Gammon appeared, broke the stick Hyun-woo was using and knocked him out. Gammon always believed that physical strength helped with studying. Since third grade, he trained daily. His uncle wanted him to take over the family martial arts school, but Gammon just wanted to focus on academics. That night, Se-hyun went home exhausted. His alcoholic father dismissed college as a waste of money, insisting he learn welding instead. Following his father's orders, Se-hyun had already given up a top high school to attend technical school. No one supported his dream of going to college, except Gammon. That's why, after thinking it over, Se-hyun picked up his old notebook of mistakes and placed it in Gammon's desk. As Gammon was about to thank him, a bench suddenly hit him. Hyun would figure out he was the masked guy. Furious, he grabbed Gammon's notebook and set it on fire. Gammon dodged his attacks, trying to save it, but in the end, the notebook was destroyed. Enraged, he decided to fight. After a tough battle, Hyun-woo collapsed, exhausted. Desperate, he threw his burning backpack at Gammon, but Gammon stayed calm and kicked it right back at him. The 220th ranked nobody had just taken down a top 10 fighter. The whole school was stunned. But Gammon didn't care about fame. He just wanted Hyun-woo to wake up and apologize to Se-hyun. Seeing Gammon's burned hand, Se-hyun angrily tossed the ruined notebook in the trash and finally agreed to join the study group. Just then, Miss Lee rushed in to put out the fire, but it was too late. An inspector had witnessed everything. The fight, the arson. The vice principal immediately blamed Gammon. and decided to expel him. That's when Miss Lee stepped in. She boldly argued that Gammon had no choice. He was bullied first. In this school, students had to fight to survive. The inspector recognized her as the top scorer on the teacher certification exam last year, but since she never registered, her certification was canceled. He asked how she planned to fix the school's problems. Panicked, Miss Lee remembered Gammon's idea of a study group and suggested it. The inspector seemed intrigued. Reluctantly, the vice principal agreed, but with one condition. The study group needed at least 5 members in 2 weeks to become official. Gammon and Say Hien posted recruitment flyers, but no one signed up. Meanwhile, rumors spread that Gammon was a fire-breathing monster. One student, ranked 3rd in combat power, didn't believe the hype. Ignoring the warnings, he decided to challenge Gammon. But Gammon, thinking he was a new recruit, welcomed him with open arms and went to grab the application form. The guy attacked, but since he only cared about finding the form, he dodged every punch without trying. When the form got crushed, he went to get a new one, only to get knocked down by the locker door. Gammon was confused. Say Hien was shocked, and the students watching outside saw him as some kind of unbeatable master. Rumors spread, and suddenly, Gammon became a terrifying figure to lower-ranked students. No one even dared to make eye contact with him, but all he really wanted was to find students who loved studying. Sadly, no one seemed interested. While complaining to Say Hien, he noticed an unusual boy approaching. Say Hien introduced him as Jian Yip, an old middle school friend who had moved to the U.S. to study. Excited, Gammon immediately invited him to join the study group. But Jian Yip laughed, accusing him of not caring about the people getting hurt because of his study obsession. With time running out, Say Hien suggested Gammon should just play sports instead. Gammon knew he was good at sports, but he loved studying more. Their teacher, Miss Lee, supported them, buying study supplies and treating them to food. But when she got home, she found her door broken. Inside, Hien Wu, covered in wounds, was waiting. He had been punished by Pai-hon for losing to Gammon and was ordered to get Miss Lee fired, or else. Suddenly, the lights went out. A mysterious guy rushed in, knocked everyone down, and helped her escape. In the elevator, he took off his hat. It was Jian Yip. They had met before on campus. As they reached the parking lot, she tried calling the police, but a thug grabbed the phone. When she tried to stop the fight, they even dared to attack her. Jian Yip took on several of them, but was eventually beaten. Hien Wu recognized him as a boy involved in a middle school murder case and ordered his men to keep attacking. Then he turned to Miss Lee, but just as he was about to strike, Gammon appeared. He took off his glasses and fought them alone. Using their own sticks and chains like nunchucks, he knocked them all down. Jian Yip wanted to ask about the murder case, which seemed connected to his mother's death. But before things escalated, Gammon stopped him, giving Hien Wu a chance to escape. Jian Yip tried to chase him but collapsed from the pain. Before leaving, he warned Miss Lee not to believe that bad people always get punished. Then, he turned to Gammon and told him to forget about forming a study group. Miss Lee gave the legend of Bruce Lee back to Gammon when he came to pick it up. She thought about calling the police, but hesitated. Then, the doorbell rang. It was one of the thugs. He dropped his knees, begging for mercy, saying Pai-hon had ordered them to attack, and they'd be killed if they refused. Feeling sorry for him, she agreed to let him go if he told the truth. The next day, someone asked to join the study group. Gammon rushed to their classroom but stopped in shock. It was full of girls, and he had no clue who Ji Woo was. A curly-haired girl called Ji Woo's name. Say Hien saw her and quickly told Gammon to leave. She was Hien Woo's twin sister. Suddenly, the room turned chaotic. A group of girls bullied Ji Woo and her friend, Hei Won. One girl mocked their study schedule, stomped on it, and even spat gum on it. Gammon caught the gum a dare and praised the schedule instead. At that moment, Gu Jin from the disciplinary department walked in, claiming Ji Woo was his girlfriend. He warned her not to talk to other boys, or she'd face punishment. In response, Gammon threw gum at his face. A fight was about to start, but a teacher showed up just in time. However, going against the disciplinary department meant endless trouble for the study group. Then, Hyun stepped forward and admitted she had signed up Ji Woo for the study group, hoping they could protect her. Hyun was a transfer student who accidentally upset the curly-haired girl and became a target. Ji Woo defended her, which made things worse. On top of that, Ji Woo's brother, Hien Wu, lost something valuable while working part-time. Gu Jin offered him money but then forced him to steal from a convenience store, recording the whole thing as blackmail. Since then, Gu Jin had used a video to control Ji Woo, forcing her to be his girlfriend. Hyun was about to transfer schools and beg Gammon and Say Hien to help delete the video. Say Hien hesitated. It was stored in the disciplinary office, but Gammon didn't back down. He hid inside a locker in the office and overheard everything. It turned out Gu Jin had stolen Hyen Woo's money that night, then lent it back to him just to record the act and use it as leverage. The real mastermind behind it all? Pai-han. Miss Lee called him to her office and found out what he had done. He didn't deny it and even said she was the most interesting teacher he had met. Meanwhile, Gammon noticed a USB plugged into a computer. He let Gu Jin grab his legs on purpose, then slowly reached for the USB and took it. He quickly got up, knocked Gu Jin down, but ran into 3 more guys. Outnumbered, he was pinned down but refused to let go of the USB. Gu Jin, wanting to ruin Hyen Woo's life, tried to upload a video online. Outside, 2 others planned how to save Gammon. Ji Woo, who happened to be passing by, overheard them and decided to help. Suddenly, Gammon kicked open the door and ran out with the computer, but someone tripped him. The computer slid across the floor, stopping at Se Hyen's feet. While Gammon held back the attackers, Se Hyen ran to the rooftop with the computer. Gu Jin pressured him to hand it over, but instead, Se Hyen threw it off the roof. Just as Gu Jin was about to attack him, Ji Woo appeared and easily took him down. Afterward, a teacher took Gammon away, and the USB fell to the ground. Hyun noticed it and tried to pick it up, but a curly-haired girl snatched it, saying she'd return it to Gu Jin. For the first time, the usually quiet Hyun snapped, cursed, and charged at the girl, taking the USB back. Ji Woo, impressed by her courage, helped her up. At that moment, Hyen Woo appeared. Earlier, Pai-han had told him the truth, and even given him a knife, pushing him to kill Gu Jin. Just as things got dangerous, Miss Lee stepped in and blocked the knife with her own body. She had looked into Hyen Woo's background and knew he was struggling, working while going to school to support himself. Instead of blaming him, she comforted him and promised to help. Gammon rushed to the hospital, but thankfully, her injury wasn't serious. Ji Woo apologized on behalf of her brother, and Miss Lee used a moment to invite her to join the study group. Hyun, deciding not to transfer schools, also wanted to join. Feeling the warmth of the group, Ji Woo agreed. Meanwhile, Hyen Woo was sent to a juvenile center, and Pai-han was arrested but released shortly after. The next day, someone outside yelled for a one-on-one fight with Gammon. News had spread that the disciplinary department had been defeated, and rumors started that Gammon wanted to take over the whole school. The first challenger was Kong, the strongest in the 11th grade. Gammon ignored him at first, until he saw Lee Jun's study group application being torn up. That was the last straw. Without hesitation, Gammon jumped down and knocked Kong to the ground with a single punch. Lee Jun loved fighting since he was a kid, but he always lost. Thinking he was too weak, he trained hard, improving his lung capacity, wearing short sleeves in winter, and even working out in class or on the bus. But no matter what he did, he kept losing. One day, he heard that going to technical high school would make him stronger. Hopeful, he enrolled and learned new fighting skills, climbing from rank 173 to 17. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get any higher. After watching Gammon's fight with Hyen Woo, he wanted to join the study group. Gammon refused, seeing that Lee Jun only cared about ranking up. Determined, Lee Jun promised to focus on studying. To test him, Gammon gave him a paper to finish before they returned. While Lee Jun was seriously working on the test, a tattooed man barged in, mistook him for Gammon, and dragged him to a warehouse. The man, a scout for the YB family, offered him a chance to become a backup fighter, defeat 3 guys, grab the car key on the hood, and the car would be his. Meanwhile, everyone thought Lee Jun had run away, but when Gammon saw his test paper, he knew something was wrong. They soon learned from Guanyo that Lee Jun had been taken by a gang. Back at the warehouse, the scout realized Lee Jun wasn't Gammon and decided to punish him. Just then, Gammon and his friends arrived. Holding up the test paper, Gammon declared Lee Jun had passed. Seeing him beaten up, they jumped into fight. Ji Woo attacked first, followed by Guanyo. Gammon even used his rolled-up test paper to defeat a knife-wielding thug. But when they faced the scout, they were overpowered. Struggling to his feet, Gammon decided to use a forbidden technique his uncle warned him about, with relentless one-sided attacks. He broke through the wall. Just then, a car started. Lee Jun sprang up and pushed Gammon aside, helping him dodge. A mysterious man stepped out and invited Gammon to join the YB family. Gammon refused. He only wanted to study and go to college. The man then taunted Guanyo, mocking him about paying condolences at their school. Furious, Guanyo jumped on his motorcycle and gave chase. Moments later, the police arrived, arresting the scout and his men. Before leaving, a detective handed Gammon his business card, thanking them for helping catch the criminals. Back at base, the hat guy praised Gammon, calling him impressive. Even Pai-han gave a rare 4-star rating. After facing danger together, the 5 finally formed a study group to keep each other motivated. Miss Lee decided to take them to visit another school's study group. Dressed in their best outfits, they confidently walked through Seoul, and arrived at Mantle High, the top-ranked school. But Gammon, confused, accidentally walked into Monarch High next door, known for its troublemakers. Meanwhile, Lee June tried to break the ice with the Mantle High students, but one girl acted arrogantly. Ji-woo nearly clashed with her until a boy explained that she was on edge because they were constantly bullied by Monarch High students. At the same time, a top student was being blackmailed. Even if their parents called the police, they would face retaliation. Unaware of all this, Gammon walked into Monarch High and was immediately surrounded by bullies. He dodged a flying fire extinguisher and took them down in seconds. A guy inside, thinking Gammon was being beaten up, opened the door, only to find all his buddies knocked out. Just then, a boy looking for money from his mom saw Gammon storm in. At that moment, Se-hyun called and told him to rescue the boy from Monarch High. Realizing the situation, the boy quickly stood up and told Gammon to leave fast. But before they could go, the strongest bully appeared. Gammon calmly took off his glasses, went full force, and knocked him out. He then escorted the boy back to Mantle High, where they successfully exchanged study experiences. Before leaving, the top student sincerely apologized. The boy then pulled Gammon aside and asked if he remembered him. They had been middle school classmates. Back then, Gammon had asked to join his study group, but was mocked. Now, the boy apologized for his arrogance and admitted he believed Gammon had what it takes to be the best, not just in school, but in the whole country. At school, the study group finally got their own room. It was in bad shape, but Gammon stayed positive and planned how to fix it. They cleaned it up, and soon it looked good. Then Kim, the top student, showed up and mocked them, calling them idiots. Gammon held back his anger and decided to beat him with grades instead. Miss Lee admired Gammon's determination, but warned him not to get overconfident. She reviewed their rankings, except for Se-hyun, who was second. The rest were in the lower middle. She told them not to give up and promised they could improve if they followed her plan after school. Lee June then revealed that Miss Lee had gone to the dean, asking for a disciplinary meeting to punish Pyeon-oh. The dean wasn't convinced and decided to test her first. If every study group member improved by 10 ranks in the midterms, he'd agree to her request. This test wasn't just about students. It was a challenge for Miss Lee, too. Se-hyun suddenly got a call and rushed off. His father was yelling for him to come to the construction site. Upset, he ran into Hyun, the girl he liked. As they walked together, they came across Kim and his gang. Se-hyun was used to being bullied and couldn't fight back. He could only watch as Kim took Hyun away. Just then, Gammon appeared, knocked Kim down, and kicked their phones aside. Se-hyun felt embarrassed that Hyun saw his weakness, so he left quietly. At home, his father scolded him as expected. Frustrated, he ran outside and saw Gammon waiting. Gammon had heard everything and told him to come home with him. But Se-hyun, struggling with his pride, refused and wandered off, only to run into Kim again. This time, though, he dodged every attack and fought back. Gammon was secretly guiding Se-hyun over the phone from nearby. For the first time, Se-hyun actually enjoyed fighting back. But then Gammon's phone died. Without his help, Se-hyun was in trouble again. Gammon rushed downstairs to help, only to see Se-hyun stand up on his own and knock Kim to the ground. Later, Gammon took Se-hyun home. It was past 11 p.m., and his mother was waiting outside, her face cold. Seeing the blood on her son, she demanded Gammon transfer schools immediately. She didn't mind bad grades, but she wouldn't let her son turn violent. Se-hyun thought she was just talking, but Gammon knew she always meant what she said. The next day, she went straight to the principal's office. Se-hyun hoped no school would accept Gammon because of his poor grades, but his mom had a plan. She decided to move to Seoul to find one. Desperate to stop her, Se-hyun blocked the car. Everyone begged her to reconsider. Someone even lied, claiming she was pregnant with Gammon's baby. But she didn't care and drove off. Miss Lee arrived in a hurry, but was too late. She chased after Gammon with kids packed in her car. Suddenly, a gang of motorcyclists blocked the road. Their leader, Kong, had lost to Gammon before. If Gammon transferred, Kong would become the top fighter. Lu Jun and Ji-woo got out and fought them off. Clearing the way, Lu Jun stayed behind to hold them back, while Miss Lee sped ahead. They caught up with Gammon's mom, while she was talking to a real estate agent. It turned out she and Miss Lee had known each other for a long time. A year ago, Miss Lee's mentor, M. Woo, had died suddenly. Gammon's mom had told her to stop grieving and use her strength to help students, just like M. Woo did. That's why Miss Lee had come to this school, to protect kids and help them study. Gammon had even formed a study group and made real friends. Seeing this, his mom started to feel guilty. Maybe she had never believed in him enough. Just as she was about to change her mind, something new happened. A fresh crisis was about to unfold. Pyeon found out that Miss Lee had filed a petition to remove him, so he sent men after her. Gammon tried to fight back, but his mom, a Taekwondo expert, knocked his weapon away. She then joined forces with the kids to fight them off. Just as Miss Lee was about to call the police, A man in a hat shot at her. Gammon tried to stop him but was too late. His mom was shot in the head and collapsed. At the hospital, Guy and Yap warned Gammon not to go after Pai-hon. Pai-hon had 3 powerful bodyguards, Cole, Sandal, and Minol, who no one could beat. But thinking of his injured mom, Gammon refused to back down. He confronted Pai-hon, but was quickly overpowered by Sun Qiu. Pai-hon told him to let Gammon live, but barely. Gammon, determined to win, challenged all 3 guards at once. He lost again. Lying on the ground, he remembered his uncle's lesson. Stay calm in tough moments. Controlling his heartbeat, he got back up, used a forbidden move, and took down all 3. Meanwhile, the vice principal scolded Miss Lee for reporting the school, claiming it wasn't a gang hideout. He demanded she apologize. Instead, she stood on stage and declared her goal to turn the school into a proper high school. The vice principal angrily knocked away the microphone. Just then, Gammon burst in and punched Pai-hon. Pai-hon fought back, but Gammon reminded him he was just a person too. Pain hurts, so he should stop acting untouchable. Seeing this, the hat guy urged Pai-hon to finish Gammon off. Pai-hon called Sun Qiu for the job. But at that moment, Sun Qiu was at the hospital, caring for his grandfather, who wanted him to be a good person. Despite working for Pai-hon, Sun Qiu studied whenever he could. He ran into Gammon at the hospital and understood why he wanted revenge. When Gammon questioned why Sun Qiu followed Pai-hon, despite wanting to study, Sun Qiu scoffed. Studying didn't guarantee success, but working for Pai-hon secured a job in the YB family. Just then, Cole called and told him to hide. Moments later, 2 fighter trainers arrived. Sun Qiu quickly acted respectful, even shoving Gammon aside as if he didn't know him. The trainers took Sun Qiu away. The next day, the news reported a 40-year-old man had been stabbed to death. Sun Qiu was a suspect. A detective asked Gammon if he saw Sun Qiu at the hospital that night. Gammon said yes, but didn't mention the gangsters who took him. After school, he felt uneasy. Se-Hyan noticed and knew Gammon doubted Sun Qiu was the real killer. The study group held an emergency meeting. Se-Hyan discovered that ever since Pai-hon enrolled, high school crime rates had gone up while adult crime rates dropped. The reason? Teens got lighter sentences and early parole. In exchange, they joined the gang after release. They needed proof that Sun Qiu wasn't a killer. On his way home, Gammon met Dai, who told him Sun Qiu was innocent. Suddenly, a fighter trainer appeared, ready to punish Dai. Gammon couldn't just watch. He took off his glasses and knocked the trainer out with one punch. Cole later revealed he saw a gang official cleaning a bloody knife. It was common knowledge in the gang. Officials did the killings, while backup fighters took the blame and served time. Gammon told the study group. Ji-woo worried they were being played, but Gammon believed Sun Qiu was innocent. His eyes showed a hunger for learning, not murder. They decided to prove Sun Qiu's innocence by finding the murder weapon. Gammon and his friends put on borrowed uniforms and sneaked into the YB family. Se-Hyan and EW stayed outside, using a drone for intel. But they didn't expect one thing. It was the gang's general meeting and Pai-hon was there. To avoid him, they ran. Gammon got separated and hid on a rooftop. A fighter trainer heard a noise and came up to check. After he left, Gammon realized he was locked in. Lean's identity was exposed, and he decided to fight alone while Ji-woo searched for evidence. She found the murder weapon in an office drawer, but as she was leaving, she heard footsteps. She hid under a desk, but the trainer had already spotted her. Meanwhile, Lee Jun was in a brutal fight. He got cut multiple times, but still managed to win. Ji-woo wasn't so lucky. She was attacked from both sides and knocked out. Gammon was trying to escape when he got a call from Miss Lee. As he grabbed his mistaken notebook, he accidentally dropped on a gang official. Just then, he saw the trainers carrying an unconscious Ji-woo away. He quickly hung up and started kicking the door, desperate to get out. At the same time, Hyun lost control of the drone. A mysterious man in a hat appeared and destroyed it, cutting off their communication. Meanwhile, Sun Qiu blocked the car carrying Ji-woo. The trainer mocked him, saying he didn't belong there. It turned out Sun Qiu had been set up to take the blame for the gang official. Pai-hon promised him the best lawyer, and even offered to pay for his grandfather's medical bills. Then, he gave Sun Qiu a lawyer's card and threw his word book into the trash. Sun Qiu admitted the crime as planned, but his story was full of holes. The detective saw through it and told him not to throw his life away. Thinking of his grandfather and Gammon's kindness, Sun Qiu changed his mind. His friends arrived just as Ji-woo regained consciousness. She grabbed a knife and joined the fight, but the trainer was too strong. Even together, they couldn't beat him, until Gammon showed up with nunchucks. The trainer ripped open his shirt, showing his scars, and fought Gammon in close combat, knocking him down. He mocked them all, thinking he had won, but Gammon stood up unfazed and taunted him back. They fought again, and Gammon used his uncle's forbidden move, the zero-in punch, launching the trainer across the room. Afterward, he helped Soon Cheol up and invited him back to school. Unsure if he could ever be a normal student again, Soon Cheol hesitated. The trainer reached the knife, but Ji Woo kicked it away. She told Soon Cheol to stop overthinking and just focus on studying. Suddenly, Se-Hyun and HEW burst in, fully armed, ready to help. But the fight was already over, making everyone laugh. Then, Gammon remembered his mistake notebook and ran after the gang official. Just as the official pulled out a hidden weapon, the detective stopped him. But before he could do anything, Gammon knocked him out cold. The bad guys got what they deserved. The study group was preparing for their big midterm. After the test, they excitedly compared answers with Se-Hyun, but Gammon felt uneasy. His answers didn't match theirs. Meanwhile, Gammon's mom, just out of the hospital, called Miss Lee to check on him. Miss Lee assured her that Gammon was just out with friends. His mom explained that he always got anxious before his grades came out, losing focus and struggling to control his emotions. His friends noticed something was off and took turns cheering him up. Se-Hyun gave him some wisdom. Water only turns to steam at its boiling point. It looks the same until then. Learning is like that. Keep pushing, and one day, change will come. Gammon felt better after hearing this. Then, Dae-Cole called with bad news. Soon Cheol's grandfather was in critical condition, but he still insisted on taking the exam. Soon Cheol rushed to the hospital, but was attacked by gangsters on the way. When he finally arrived, bruised and battered, he saw Gammon helping his grandfather take the TOEIC exam, his lifelong dream. Later at the funeral, Gammon remembered the grandfather's words. Learning should bring joy. Soon Cheol, moved by the moment, opened a vocabulary book his grandfather had left him, thanking Gammon for keeping his promise and saving him from despair. Midterm results were out. Se-Hyun ranked first, and everyone improved. The biggest surprise? Gammon moved up from 219th to 209th place. Miss Lee took the report card to the dean and kept his promise. He called for a disciplinary meeting against Pi-Han. Soon Cheol, now on duty, stopped Pi-Han's car and made him walk in as per school rules. Pi-Han got out, glaring at the study group with pure hatred. Meanwhile, Ganyo begged Miss Lee to drop the case. She was standing alone against Pi-Han's power and could be in danger. Then, a shocking truth came out. Ms. Wo, who had died, was Ganyop's mother. A year ago, she tried to clean up the school by pushing for a disciplinary meeting against Pi-Han, but that same night, a man in black murdered her. Everyone suspected Pi-Han, but one of his men took the blame for him. Ganyop feared Miss Lee would suffer the same fate, but she refused to back down. No matter what, she would honor Ms. Wo's fight for justice. Pi-Han promised his father he would handle the crisis like before. Soon, a video spread online, falsely accusing the study group of theft and violence. Suddenly, they were seen as troublemakers. The vice principal planned to punish them and fire Miss Lee unless she dropped the charges against Pi-Han. But Miss Lee stood by them, saying their kindness wasn't wrong. She told them to stay calm and not react, especially Gammon, while she worked to fix everything. Then chaos broke out. Students started attacking each other for no reason. Pi-Han had offered a reward. Anyone who improved their ranking in an hour would get 1 million won. Even Se-Hyun's old friend turned on him. Feeling betrayed, Se-Hyun wondered if they could ever change the school. Out of nowhere, he got a call and rushed to a construction site. At the same time, Gammon received a message and ran to the activity room, only to find it wrecked by Pi-Han and his gang. Furious, he wanted to fight, but Hyun stopped him, telling him to endure it. Meanwhile, Se-Hyun saw his father fighting with workers, yelling that his son wasn't a troublemaker. It was the first time Se-Hyun had heard his father defend him. Feeling guilty and powerless, he decided to quit school and work at the site. Hwan's parents pulled her out of the group, banning her from seeing them. Lee Jun, unaware of everything, kept texting for updates. Gammon was about to reply when he saw Se-Hyun leave the group chat. His mother noticed he was upset. When she asked, he told her the study group was falling apart. To comfort him, she admitted she let him stay at the school because she saw how happy he was with his friends. Remembering their good times together, Gammon felt determined again. He cleaned up the activity room and then went to construction site to work with Se-Hyun. Se-Hyun told him to leave, but Gammon simply said, "I want to go to college with you." Moved, Se-Hyun begged his father to let him stay in school. He promised to get into the best university in 3 years and give his father a better life. Gammon even vowed that one day, Se-Hyun would own the building. They didn't stop there. They went to Hyun's house and convinced her parents, with Se-Hyun's top grades and a basket of blueberries. They found Ji-Woo at the convenience store and brought her back. Lee Jun was excited when Se-Hyun rejoined the group chat. The next day, the study group returned to school for a final showdown with Pi-Han-Oh. Meanwhile, Miss Lee refused to drop the charges against Pi-Han and insisted the disciplinary meeting happen. The detective warned her not to go to school, unsure of what Pi-Han might do, but she refused to back down. The day before the meeting, the vice principal called Miss Lee to school. He revealed that the school was involved in illegal deals with Pai-han's gang. The detective sensed danger and told her not to go, but Miss Lee saw it as a chance to gather evidence. She secretly recorded their conversation as the vice principal openly admitted the school was Pai-han's playground, training gangsters and laundering money. He even admired her bravery. Suddenly, the lights went out and he ran off. Miss Lee stepped into the hallway, but was immediately surrounded by Pai-han and his men. She warned them that the police were coming, revealing a hidden recorder in her button. The detective had promised to rescue her if she didn't come out in 30 minutes, but he was ambushed. Pai-han threatened her, hinting that Ms. Wu's death wasn't just a rumor. Then, the school's PA system suddenly blared, and Hyun cursed the gang. At the same time, James Young and his friends, who had been secretly watching over Miss Lee, stepped in. When they realized she was meeting the vice principal, they set up an ambush. Gamin told Lee Jun to take Miss Lee to safety, while he and the others handled Pai-han's gang. Ji Woo and Soon Cheol took on two of Pai-han's men. Se-hyun fought another gang member, while Lee Jun faced Tai, a childhood friend who had become Pai-han's lackey. Miss Lee had one job: escape and hand over the evidence to police. From the first to fourth floor, each fighter faced their own opponent but struggled. Ji Woo fought back first but couldn't defeat the chubby guy alone. She teamed up with Soon Cheol, turning the fight into 2-on-2. In the end, they turned the tables and won. Se-hyun was shot at by the guy in the hat until he ran out of bullets. Then, Se-hyun fought back. He had learned combat skills from Gamin's mom. First, endure the hits, then strike when the opponent is tired. He followed this strategy and won with an uppercut. Lee Jun pulled the knife from his chest and swiftly took down a Tai. By then, only the strongest fighters remained: Pai-han and Gamin. Gamin was knocked down repeatedly. Pai-han mocked him, saying he was powerless and couldn't save Miss Lee. But when Gamin heard Miss Lee was in danger, he forced himself up and used his ultimate move to defeat Pai-han. Meanwhile, Miss Lee, who had escaped, was blocked by gang members. She clutched the recorder helplessly until she heard Hyun's voice. Behind her stood the students she had convinced to protect their teacher. A fight was about to begin. The next day, Miss Lee successfully held a disciplinary meeting. Pai-han was expelled and arrested for killing Ms. Wu, thanks to the recording. The vice principal, who covered for him, was also punished. Everything was finally settled. Miss Lee fulfilled Ms. Wu's wish, turning the school into a proper place. Hyunwoo, having changed his ways, was released early and reconciled with his sister. But the study group's journey wasn't over. Their final exams were coming and new challenges awaited. Thank you for watching. If you want more recaps like this, please subscribe to this channel and support me to reach the 10K subscribers target.